Milletim, değerli basın
My
mensupları,
great nation, distinguished members of
sizlere en
press,
kalbi
I would like
duygularımla,
to
muhabbetle
salute you with
selamlıyorum.
the most heartfelt emotions,
Türkiye'nin bugüne
affection,
kadar elde
and
ettiği
love.
kazanımların gerisinde
Behind
değişime ve
all
reformlara
what
olan
Turkey
bağlılığını
has achieved
hep korumuş
so far,
olmasıdır.
we have the lying
Salgın
fact
döneminde
that
de
we
bu çizgiden
have
asla
always
ayrılmadık.
held
Milletimizle paylaştığımız
strongly
reform
to our
gündemimizi
values.
belirlediğimiz
And
takvime
during the
uygun
pandemic,
şekilde yürüttük
we have not
ve yürütüyoruz.
desisted from that, and in line with the
Geçtiğimiz yıl yargı
calendar set
reformu
for,
strateji belgemizi
we
açıklamış.
have been
Ardından
running
da
our
buna
activities.
uygun hukuki
The other
ve
day, we
idari
shared
adımları atmaya
our
başlamıştık.
legal reform and then started taking
Ekonomide
the
cari açığın
relative
azaltılmasına,
steps accordingly
üretimin ve
to
istihdamın
reduce
güçlendirilmesine
the
yönelik
current account
çok
deficit
sayıda
in economy
reform
and
mahiyetinde
employment,
düzenlemeyi
to
hayata
reduce
geçirdik.
the unemployment
Bu ayın
rates.
başında
We
insan
have
hakları eylem planını
materialized
kamuoyunun
many
takdirine sunduk.
many regulations.
hakları
We
eylem
have always
planında yer
presented,
alan
we have also
başlıkların
presented our
belirlediğimiz
human rights
takvime göre
action plan.
ilgili
And according
kurumlarla
to the set,
birlikte
the
hayata geçireceğiz.
calendar set, we will be
Yaklaşık 3 hafta önce de
materializing all the
ekonomi
practices
reformlarımızı kamuoyuna
with the
açıklamıştık.
relevant authorities.
Hazine
And
ve
we,
Maliye
a few weeks
Bakanlığımız,
ago, shared our
ekonomi
economy plan.
reformlarıyla ilgili
The
eylem
Ministry of
planında
Finance and
geçtiğimiz
Treasury
günlerde ilan
put
etti.
the action
Türkiye
plan
ekonomisinin
into practice
potansiyelinin
the other day,
ve
as
asıl
they announced
dinamiklerinin göstergesi
before.
zaman
The
zaman
main indicators
ortaya
of
çıkan
the dynamics
temelsiz
of
ve derinliksiz
Turkish economy
finans hareketleri
is
değil,
not
İşte
related with
bu reform
groundless
gündemidir.
and unbalanced
Milletimizin de
financial
akılcılıktan
moves,
uzak
but
dalgalanmalara
this
karşı
reform
giderek daha
agenda.
bilinçli bir
And
tavır
our
ortaya
nation
koyduğunu,
is putting forward a
tercihini ve
much
gücünü
more
ülkesinin hedeflerinden yana
conscious
kullandığını
stance,
müşahede
and
ediyoruz.
as we observe, make their
Hukuktan ekonomiye
choices
kadar
to the
uzanan
favor of their
ve
nation and the
milletimiz
country.
tarafından memnuniyetle
From law to
karşılanan
economy,
reform
these
programlarımızı
reform programs,
takvimlerine uygun
welcomed
şekilde
by our
yürümesini
nation and many others,
sağlayacağız.
will be
Cumhurbaşkanlığı ve
followed
bakanlıklar
clearly
olarak
and
biz bu
as per
reformlara
the
elbette
dates and
sahip
calendars
çıkacağız.
set. As the presidency
Toplumun tüm
and the
kesimlerinden
ministries
de
of the country, we
kendileriyle
will take
ilgili
the ownership
hususların
of these
yakın
reforms.
takipçisi
And we kindly
olmalarını,
ask our
herhangi
society
bir
to keep a
gecikme
close track
ve
on
eksiklik
the
durumunda konuyu önce
issues that
ilgili
concern them,
kurumlar,
and if they
ardından
notice
bizimle
anything is
paylaşmalarını
missing,
istiyoruz.
we kindly ask them
Hiç
to
şüphesiz
notify the
en
relevant
önemli
authorities and us
reform
all
başlığımız
accordingly. With no
milletimize
doubt, the most
verdiğimiz yeni ve
important issue in
sivil
our
anayasa
reform agenda
sözümüzdür.
is the promise we have made
Türkiye'ye
for a
merkezinde
new and
milletin,
civilian
yani
constitution.
insanın olduğu
A
yeni
constitution
bir
which
anayasa
places,
kazandırmayı
which
amaçlıyoruz.
places the human beings
Geçmişte
in the very
darbelerin
core. This is what
veya
we aim
olağanüstü
in the
dönemlerin
making
ürünü
of this
olarak
new
hazırlanan
constitution.
anayasaların
The constitutions
milletimizin
prepared after
beklentilerine ve
tutelage or
ülkemizin
military
ihtiyaçlarına
coups no
cevap
longer
veremediği kısa
meet the
sürede
needs of our
ortaya çıkmıştır.
nation, and it has become very
Anayasalar
obvious in a very short
yaşayan
period of
metinler
time.
olduğu için
As
elbette
constitutions are
gerektiğinde
living documents, of course, if necessary,
ama
they can be
Türkiye'deki
amended.
anayasa değişikliği
However, the
gayretleri
constitutional
asıl
amendment
metnin
efforts
ruhuna
in
zerk edilmiş
Turkey
olan
are related
darbeci
with the
ve
coup
vesayetçi
making and
mayas
tutelage
sebebiyle
mindset
neticelere
injected
bir türlü
into
varamamış.
those documents, and that's
Ülkemizin
why the
yönetim sistemini
desired
değiştirmek
outcomes
için
have so far
en
not been
köklü
achieved.
değişimi gerçekleştirmiş olmamıza rağmen
Despite the fact
mevcut
that we have made the
anayasamızdaki
most
bu arızayı
well-rooted
gideremedik.
changes and reforms, we still have
Yeni
not
ve sivil bir
tackled
anayasa
this
konusunu
problem
tekrar
in our
gündeme
constitution.
getirmemizin sebebi
The
de
reason
şudur.
that we brought
Diğer
the
yandan
preparation for a new and
Cumhurbaşkanlığı
civilian
hükümet sisteminin
constitution to agenda
ülkemize
is
kazandırdığı
exactly that.
yetenekleri
On the other
salgın
hand, we have many
sürecinde çok daha iyi
capabilities
biliyoruz.
thanks to our executive
Sistemin
presidential system,
özünü
and we have
oluşturan
seen that
hızlı karar
during
alma
the course of
ve
the
etkin
pandemic.
şekilde uygulama
Fast
mekanizmaları
decision-making and
ülkemizin bu
effective
dönemde
implementation
pozitif
mechanisms
yönde
related with the
ayrışmasını
system
sağlamıştır.
have made our
Bununla
country
birlikte
distinguish itself
sistemi
from
artık
others positively
üçüncü
in
yılına
this
yaklaşan
challenging
tecrübeler
era.
ışığında geliştirmemiz
And also, it
gerektiğinin
has
de
become clear,
farkındayız.
and we are aware
Yeni
that we
anayasa
have to
süreci
improve the
Cumhurbaşkanlığı hükümet
relevant
sisteminin
issues related with the
tahkimi açısından
system.
da
And
bir fırsat
the new
olacak.
constitution will be an opportunity
Türkiye
to
için
further
tarihi öneme
strengthen
sahip
the executive
yeni anayasa
presidential system.
hazırlama sürecinin
The
mümkün olan
historically
en geniş
important
uzlaşmayla
preparation period
yürümesi
for
ve ortaya çıkan
process for the
metninde
new constitution should be run smoothly, and the document is supposed to and must cover all walks of life of our society, all sections, and that's why we ask all sections to contribute to the preparation of the new constitution. This will be setting the backbone of our 2053 vision, and for the new constitution we're open to any ideas and contributions, and hopefully with our nation we will be preparing our future, and we will be bringing about a new constitution that will ensure the future of our next generations. Distinguished people of my nation, as we have left the winter days behind and get ready to salute the bright days of the spring, we have many reasons to be happy about. Thanks be to God, we are located in the most ancient and beautiful geography of the world for over 1,000 years, and with all our steps, political, economic, and legal, we strengthen our country. The new stamp of sovereignty we have placed over and over again is well protected despite all the matters. The political and humanitarian crises that took place in our region as of 1990s also have shown once again how important it is for us all to have our power nationally and in the country. Those who cannot own up to their homelands, unfortunately, and as we observe, cannot own up to their future. In transition to the multi-party system, Turkey has ensured its fight for democracy, and it has now reinforced that struggle in democracy with the executive presidential system. Our struggle for development after a long period of pause over the past 19 years has been brought up to the level that we need with all the services we have offered. And in such an era, the coronavirus pandemic, of course, has brought with itself a historic opportunity for us to seize. Of course, there have been many sections of the society impacted negatively by the restrictions introduced and in the lives of all of us. However, thanks to the strength of our healthcare infrastructure, we do not, thanks be to God, face some images or footages that are of calamity, as seen in many countries, sometimes flexing up the measures, sometimes rendering them rigid. We have tried our best so far to contain the virus. And in the vaccination process and practices, we are at a very advanced position. Another important success, which is as important as health, is the policies to continue with our production. And we know that the facilities, many factories have never halted, and no harm has been brought to the way of our production. Many facilities, many plants have already been placed with many orders which are over even their capacity. And some companies are even finding it difficult to find a machinery to meet the demand. The problems in the global logistics supply chain brings Turkey's advantage more to the foreground. Our railways, our airways, our ports and airports are always attached with great importance, and we invest in those, and the importance of investing in all those become more obvious in such an era. Those who talked ill about the city hospitals now question why we do not build more city hospitals. Likewise, for many years, some blamed us of wasting the resources of our country, and now those same people are asking why we have not built a very strong transportation system. Every development taking place in our country, in the region, and in the world shows the meaning of all the investments we have made so far in Turkey, more and more. Regardless of origin, color, ethnicity, or whatsoever, I would like to make a call on all the investors one more time. Come along and invest in Turkey. Those who invested in Turkey in the past now have larger markets to address and increased revenues, and they reap the fruits of that. And those who will invest similarly will claim the same as well. The investments made in Turkey goes over the domestic markets or the regional markets and are designed to address the global markets. And this is how it is supposed to be materialized, because Turkey goes beyond being a hub of production in its region and becomes a global center. Using this opportunity, I would like to make a call on to all our citizens. Those who keep their gold or foreign currency at home should make these come in circulation for our economy. There are some who object to that. However, I say so because the center is to be strengthened and on the basis of a win-win approach, both as our citizens and the country will win. This is what I indicate and the path of which I show. The remarks we utter stating that Turkey has become a center of investment for many foreign investors are not groundless. For example, in our country, not even 1,600 companies were shut down, even though we have had 103,000 new companies established, and most of those are international capital companies, and more than 11,000 foreign capital-oriented companies, for example, started operating in Turkey. In the index, while Turkey was ranking the 84th in the past, it now ranks in the rank of 33 in the index of ease of business making. So this shows the trust and the belief that all investors across the world have for our country, and indicate that this trust grows more and more every passing day. Of course, the outcriers of bad news, as in the past, in our day as well, are exerting efforts, and such people have always been seen, and they will be there no matter what. For example, in the past, when our country was struggling for its national independence, another section in the society was defending the mandate, and some were still saying words that they were against all sorts of investments. When our country was fighting the terrorism ongoing in the country, some people still always uttered the words of the terrorists. Likewise, we have not forgotten those who defended military coups when our nation was shielding their bodies against the coup on July the 15th. But we have not cared for what those people said. And we have always convicted those people and made it to this very day by not taking those people seriously. with its high capacity, well-educated and trained human capital, resistant economy to shocks, and also entrepreneurship in investors, Turkey is walking decisively towards its targets. Our economy is based on investment, employment, production, and export, and we are making our economy elevate higher on the basis of those pillars, and we are getting rid of all the shackles of centuries old, and we frustrate all the plans and overcome all traps set in front of us, and will still continue marching on our path. Uh, by claiming a victory, we are decisive to make our country achieve its 2023 goals. At the centenary of the foundation of our republic, I am firmly sure that we will have further strengthened. And there are some who know that who understood that they cannot make our country kneel, and now they have their sight set on the unity, fraternity, unison of our country. From Gezi Park protests to the failed coup attempt of July the 15th, we see that the most important account of those people is to divide our nation and rid them of their strength, and if possible turn one against the other. But our nation has clearly seen what those plots are, and they have, for that reason, symbolized their unity and their children in the forms of a crescent and a star on the flag, and that's why they have always triumphed. In Turkey and across other parts of the world, such plots and games of dividing have never succeeded in Turkey and never will. What we have experienced so far, however, tells us we have to be much more careful for the upcoming times. There are some who never practice the criteria that they impose on us, and their purpose is not to guide our country towards a path of more advancement, but their purposes are different. From freedom of speech to liberties, we have seen many acts of hypocrisy, some displayed, but we have never paid the due respect to them. There are some who never respect law, conscience, ethics, and such impositions have never been of value for us, and they will never be. From Syria to Libya, from Cyprus to Karabakh, from the Eastern Mediterranean to the Aegean, our struggle in every corner of the world has succeeded thanks to our approach. When it comes to all the matters about which we present a principled stance, we see that we are right, and in time the whole world has witnessed that. There were some who tried to teach us a lesson of democracy, but in the face of our well-rooted stance, our pride, have felt the need to work some other ways. But in this direction, in the upcoming periods, in many fields, we will have very auspicious developments, which we will experience altogether and enjoy altogether. We should always keep one fact in mind. As People's Alliance, we, in this auspicious period, have to always work more than ever before to prepare ourselves for the upcoming periods. And as the People's Alliance, every passing day we further reinforce our alliance, and inshallah, before 2023, by 2023, we will achieve our goals. And our new constitution, with our new constitution, we will crown what we have done and what we will do. With the Turkish Grand National Assembly, the representative of the national will, with the presidency, with our impartial and neutral judicial system, with the driving system of our business world, with civil society organizations and NGOs, shortly with all sections of our nation, we will be working and we will never stop until we emerge victorious and triumph. Distinguished members of my great nation, for over almost 19 years we have endured many attacks. And while expressing all these, of course, we never ignore the challenges faced, especially during this course of the pandemic. Many small shop owners and many members of the tourism industry faced challenges, and also many students faced challenges because of changes in their schooling programs. But we keep a close track on those developments and challenges, and our purpose as the state authorities is to support production and employment, and we push it really hard to make sure that our citizens are not negatively impacted by these all. And we try our best to make our nation breathe and clear the path for the small businesses. As compared to many countries, primarily compared to many European countries, we are among those countries who very smartly put measures into practice. But despite that, when there is an increase in the number of the daily reported cases and the death toll, we may feel the need to reintroduce stricter measures, and the path, the way to make our country survive this predicament safely is to abide by the rules very cautiously. And everyone has to use their own mind and conscience. The number of cases and the deaths should be brought down, and as long as we cannot bring them down, decrease the figures faster than many other countries, we will fall behind, because the cost of it will reflect in to many areas, from industry to tourism. I would like to once again make a call on my nation for them to abide very carefully and strictly to the three basic rules of this pandemic: wearing masks, watching social distancing, and washing our hands. As we do in all regular presidential cabinet meetings, today as well we addressed in greater detail all the measures related with the pandemic. This also is related with the vaccination. We have started seeing the reflections, the manifestation of what we have done in the vaccination process in the field. We see that there is a significant decrease in the number of the reported cases and also patients in intensive care units. Even though there is a general increase currently in the number of daily reported cases, the number of the patients in intensive care units and as well those treated at the hospitals do not increase. But it makes us obliged to review once again the measures taken as we observe an increase in the number of the reported cases and the death toll recently. We have, as you know, have presented a four-tier color code for our country, and also represent those cities with low, moderate, high, and very highly risky codes. The number of the cities coded in red which represents high risk, unfortunately is currently 58. And in line with all the developments and all the negotiations we held at the presidential cabinet meeting, we have made some decisions. The curfew across the country will continue from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. every day of the week. In the cities coded red, the weekend curfew will cover both days, Saturday and Sundays. However, restaurants and cafeterias, regardless of color code, across the whole country, will be able to continue with their operations as long as they abide by the rules. The delivery services will stay in place after the closure hours and during the curfew hours. And during the month of Ramadan, we will all sacrifice a little. Across the country, during the month of Ramadan, we will have a full general weekend curfew across the whole country. And restaurants and cafeterias, like dining places, during the month of Ramadan will limit their services to delivery during weekends. And again, during the month of Ramadan, gatherings for dinners and iftars will not be allowed. Restaurants and cafeterias or cafes that will be negatively impacted by that will be provided with some incentives. We will provide some incentives to them. In April and May, in line with normalization and the employees of restaurants and cafeterias will be paid 1,500 liras per month, and their social security premiums will be paid by the state authority. So we will hopefully after the Ramadan in the Eid have a country about which we are proud, and that's why I make a call on all citizens to be very careful, very prudent and cautious about all the measures. May God help and guide us along this path. Thank you all very much. Stay safe, stay in health.